Your rig is where you work, where you rock out. Your rig is your livelihood. So when that DPF light comes on, give your rig the respect it deserves. As for Road Warrior, stronger seals, better manufacturing, and it's made of metal that lasts. Less downtime and more miles on the road so you can haul longer. Respect the rig. Become a Road Warrior.
Welcome to The Long Haul, the podcast dedicated to empowering small carriers and owner-operators to drive their business forward. I'm your host, Adam Wingfield, bringing you insights from industry leaders, real-world success stories, and strategies to help you navigate the road to profitability. Whether you're just getting started or looking to take your fleet to the next level, this is a show where trucking meets opportunity. So buckle up, it's time to go the distance. What's up, everybody, and welcome to a no-holds-barred edition of The Long Haul. I'm your host, Adam Wingfield, and today we got someone who's lived every side of this industry, in the seat, under the hood, in the office, in the books, and behind the mic. Meet Sage Blues, a former CDL A driver, OTR local, U.S. Coast Guard, owner-operator, Landstar agent, broker, and now a commercial auto license insurance holder. You name it, he's done it. Today, we're not just tiptoeing. We're going to be talking to broker scams. We're going to talk some insurance traps. We're going to talk about the broker agent role nobody wants to talk about. We're going to talk about where the real money happens and the leaks in freight. But right up front, if you're expecting a sugar-coated ride, this ain't going to be it. This is for the people in the cabs, in the lanes, paying bills, making payroll, and really just wanting to have real open conversation. But before we hit it, do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe to The Long Haul. Don't forget to sign up to our newsletter that we drop every single week with bonus content, market notes, and behind-the-scenes conversation nobody else publishes. All right, Sage, it's time for us to get going and keep it real, man. How you doing, bro?
How's it going? Well, you picked the right guy. You picked the right guy to come out and be honest and be blunt, because that's me, bro. That's God. And you're welcome to comment below if you're seeing this later on. Comment below on anything you don't agree with, because there's going to be some. Look, man, I've been in the industry for over 25 years, and like you said, I came up, driving CDLB, and then rolled into a CDLA, and then went over the road, and then came back and did local, and then went to the Coast Guard, and then where I did federal law enforcement officer, where I did boardings, right? So it was kind of OT, but DOT for boats and stuff like that. So we did law enforcement, and then came back into the truck, drove over the road, lived in the truck for a year. Drove for Landstar, was a Landstar agent, and opened up my own brokerage, and then moved forward with that, opened up a carrier, specialized in overdimensional freight, super loads and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I even went out there and said, what else could I be? How much eviler could I be than a freight broker? Oh, I know. I'll be an insurance agent. So then I passed my insurance agent license. And then now basically moved over to as a freight broker agent, where my wife also helps run the agency. So if anybody's out there watching, yep, I'm as close as you're going to get to evil being a freight broker and an insurance agent. But I try to be an honest guy in a world of liars. I really do. I try to change that aspect of the industry when you're dealing with me, either with the insurance side or with the brokerage side, because I know what it's like to be sitting in the seat. Like, you know what I mean? I know that. So I understand these guys. So it's a little bit different, but I already know what people are saying. God, insurance and brokerage.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, like, you served in every single role, though. It'd been different if you've never did anything but like the insurance side, where you just kind of coming up on that side. But you went from a driver, then you went and got brokerage, and then it all ties together. But now the most important thing is that the foundation came from behind the seat. The foundation came from me actually being out there, going through the struggles, understanding what's going on. We're going to talk about some misconceptions out there, but more importantly, like you went through every single seat that you possibly can pass through, so you earned the stripes.
I did. And I think that's an important aspect of it, like I said, because I took that step. Like I said, okay, I've done this. Now, what am I supposed to be doing next? And then I took that role to learn from this role to learn what I needed to do next, right? Because I went from a company driver to a lease driver. I said, okay, now what roles can I learn here that are going to benefit me to get my own, to move into the brokerage? And in 2008, man, it was like now. It was a freight recession, and I had to make a decision. I had to pick a truck or go into the agency side. So I ended up losing the truck in 2008. It was a Freightliner Select deal, and I gave that back and had to still make payments for what I owed on it, and then moved into the brokerage side and the sales and marketing and the customer side. And just, I remember working from 4:00 in the morning to 11:00 at night, just because it was a struggle. Like it's a struggle now. And I that struggle also makes it where I understand where the drivers are now, because I've been helped that.
Now, the one thing that I think is really, really beautiful about that, and I really want to start off with the broker world, and I want to talk to you about the broker world and what you see on the broker world, because like I just literally just went through a broker carrier agreement that's 18 pages long, got down into the confidentiality section, and it's what I really want to talk to you about too, is that broker transparency is becoming a really big thing. And you've been very, very public about that. I've watched some of your discourses and I've seen that. For the record, I want to talk about that. And I want you to kind of give your perspective on that particular broker transparency.
So I am not for broker transparency where guys are going to be like, well, he's trying to steal money. So I want everybody to understand a couple aspects of being a freight broker and the job that I'm basically doing. Before you guys back into that door, I've already done multiple jobs. I've already done sales and marketing. I've already done financing, determining if this customer is going to pay their bills. I've done operations, determining which equipment is going to probably be best for this. Anything from a local truck to a box truck to a van to a flatbed, whatever. I've done that, operations. We've also done dispatching to basically get that truck into that door. And then afterwards, we're also customer service and damage control sometimes when things go awry, right? And then interacting with the customer and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that go into that. So one of the aspects that I look with broker transparency is, to me and to my carriers, and I don't post a lot of loads because I built myself a relationship with carriers that I'm just shooting a text out. Hey, where you at? Where you at? Right? When my carriers are at a point I look at it as my intellectual property. Like you can come to me and ask me for an overdimensional quote, and I can be like, boom, here's the quote. And I've done this on shows. Like I've done this. I work with Mark the Mentor. He's on YouTube. And I'm like, okay, here's a load. Quote this load. And another driver quoted it. And when they quoted it, they quoted it for their truck when the load could have went on a hot shot. And knowing that knowledge and being able to get the right equipment to get the right price for the customer is where I win. So for me, that's something that I've earned in regards to knowing what my price is. So I'm not a broker transparent. Now down the road, when carriers eventually, it's something that's not entitled. It's something that they've worked for, and we've built this relationship. And then eventually I'm like, okay, hey, where do you need to be on this? And if they say $5,000, let's use simple numbers. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go in at 6. Let's see what we can do. Or I'm going to go in, 75. Let's see if we have any issues on detention or whatever. But that's not something that I believe should be entitled. I believe when it becomes, it's hard because I think drivers think that they're negotiating with the broker. They're not negotiating with the broker. They're negotiating against supply and demand. The broker just happens to be that translator. But you are negotiating against supply and demand. If you are one load to 100 trucks, that's what you're negotiating against.
Everybody's going to agree. You're going to have people disagree with that.
Which I understand.
But that's the facts. That's the facts, though.
Me and you have to work as a team to try to get the customer the price that they're going to accept. Because they got a bottom line. They got a financial. You want to meet mean people? Talk to a financial officer at a company when you're over budget. When you're over budget, that financial officer is like, oh my God, here she comes. We're doomed. Yeah. We're all doomed. Because they're like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Because you're over budget. So what you need to understand is that now, are all brokers this way? No, there's bad brokers out there. I hate brokers and I am one. I get most of my freight because other brokers don't know what they're doing, right? Which is good. But if you understand that we are both negotiating against supply and demand, and that supply and demand is I'm competing, I'm trying to get you in the door. My sales skills have to get you in the door. Your sales skills and value that you bring to me have to get me in the door. Like it's that teamwork to try to get this thing in there to make this move. And it's difficult for drivers. I say this to them. I say, you have a windshield view. I have a top-down view. Mm-hmm. And if you have a truck driver's view, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you want to move from driving the truck into logistics, You got to reposition yourself from that top-down view.
That's right. That's right.
And that's very difficult to do. I had a hard time with it because when I came in, I'm like, drug brokers are stealing, doing this and doing this. And then after spending years and years and years with having to earn absolutely everything to eat, like there's no load board for me. I have to cold call. I have to get in customers. I have to prove my value. I have to separate them from somebody that they're already using because they probably already have a logistics provider. What can I do better? Is it my knowledge? Is it my ability to get the truck? Is it my honesty? Is it my price? Something's got to get me in that door. And that's you. And I tell this to drivers all the time. You couldn't afford me if you just wanted me. Like the fact that we're doing this load together, you now get 25 years of experience from bottom to top. You couldn't afford me if you tried to hire me off the street. And I know that drivers are going to be like, oh, that should spark a little bit of engagement. But that's the honesty of it. I want to be honest. Like one truck driver out there running the spot market, trying to build his business, you would never have a chance to hire me if you were to put me in the position that you needed me to be in just to work for your company. But you're now getting my experience and my knowledge and my ability to do this because I'm working on volume with everybody else. And I've said this to drivers before. And I've said, okay, you've had your own carrier? Yeah. Okay. How many years? 5 years. Okay. Can I talk to your head of your sales manager? Well, I'm the sales manager. How many direct customers have you brought in? Well, none. You're fired. Who would hire? Who would keep a sales?
No, you're right.
And I've seen you run the numbers on some of your shows. And I think it takes, sometimes it takes that bluntness.
Yeah. But to that point, I think one of the biggest things is that when you go back, like there's some things that are not mutually exclusive. And one of the things that I look at too is that just because you're a good driver, you can back a dock, you can be on time, that those are not transferable skills into business ownership. And a lot of times that business ownership skills, there's some skills that'll transfer, like there's discipline that would lead to a better skill in there, but not every skill is transferable. And when I look at that, and you made a great point, which was really, really interesting, when you talked about the different hats that you got to wear as a broker, right? But then when you look at it too, that's no different than the many hats that you should be wearing as a motor carrier. Because as a motor carrier, you should be wearing that salesperson's hat. And guess what? If you're not good at it, look, you just said like, hey, how many direct shippers have you landed? If you're not good at it, instead of being on a discourse trying to focus on beating down, one topic or this topic or that topic, how about get better at sales? How about get better at negotiation? How about get better at soft skills and people skills? You'll be so surprised, Sage, how many owner-operators that we talked to. I was at an event 2 weeks ago, and I'm not going to disclose the location of it because I don't want to put anybody out there.
I understand.
All right? And I'm talking to folks, and they're like, hey, you know what? I really, really, really want to change my business. I really want to start focusing more on my own direct customers. And there's a question I always ask, man, when I talk to a small carrier or talk to an owner-operator about it. Is like, my first question is your key differentiators, because you just talked about that. You said that you got to go in and you got to separate yourself. So as a motor carrier, my biggest question to you is, hey, all right, well, cool. Give me 5 reasons why I would put my freight on your truck, then put it on a JB Hunt truck. What makes you so different? And they just freeze. It just becomes a frozen conversation because people don't realize when you back your truck up tonight at a TA or a Flying J, when you back it up in that stall in that spot, and you set your brakes and you look over to the left and to the right, that person on the right and the left of you, you know what that is? That's competition. Those are people that you're competing with. And then ultimately, a lot of folks don't understand that. And I'm glad you talked about that. And I'm really wanting this conversation to really go into, just not just on the unhinged side, but just on a gut punch side where it's like, man, listen, you need to get your business in order at the end of the day. I went through, you have to look at it as a business owner first. And I'm gonna read something to you. And I'm gonna show you why it is so important. I'm gonna read something to you. As part of the business relationship between broker and carrier, either party may be in or come into possession of information or data which constitutes trade secrets, know-how, confidential information, marketing plans, pricing, blah, blah, blah. Carrier agrees that the broker charges its customers and the charges to the customers are confidential and need not to be disclosed to the carrier. carrier specifically waives any rights it may have under 49 CFR 371.3. That is a waiver clause that was instituted in the confidentiality portion of a broker carrier agreement that has to be read within, a few minutes in order to sign for that freight.
Right.
What are your thoughts about just waiving? What do you feel about how that was stuck in there?
That was the 19-page one?
Yeah, that's 19 pages.
So that was that's pretty impressive. They snuck that in there.
That was slick. That was slick.
That's lawyerish. That's lawyerish. So, and I understand why they put this in there. Like the stuff that I do, some of the stuff I do is under the Defense Production Act, right? And that went into the rare earth mineral mine in California. But some of the other stuff I do is I can't disclose pricing because my customer's in competition with other customers. Okay. So I want people to understand this. And I know this is going to blow people's minds, but drivers, I'm going to say it. You have no idea how logistics work sometimes. Okay. Maybe a couple of you do, but you don't. A lot of you think that it's shipper, broker, carrier, receiver. God, I wish that was all the people that were involved sometimes. I literally dealt with a city to a project management company, to an engineering company, to a construction company, to a manufacturing company, to me, to the carrier, back to the project. That is literally how many people can be involved. And I have to get answers from all of them sometimes. And the problem is that some of my customers are, let's say we're building fiberglass tanks or we're building steel tanks. I specialize in round pressure vessel tanks and stuff. The logistics side of it, the transportation side of it could win the bid. It could win the bid for this customer to be able to keep feeding their people. And because this customer is competing with, this manufacturer is competing with this manufacturer. And now we're competing in regards to how can we get it there the cheapest, because they're competing with how can they manufacture it the cheapest to provide the whatever value and warranty plus other things that they need and time frame. And these are all, I'm sitting in production. Sometimes I sit in production meetings and I just wait for them to call my name because it's literally it's like, there's times I don't know how businesses run because you have production and these guys don't know what these are doing and this doesn't know what this is doing. Then finally I get, they call my name and they're like, yeah, can we ship this by this date and get it here by this date? I'm like, no, it's too far. You can't ship 2,000 miles in one day. No, not possible. And then I explain this, but it's the amount of stuff that's happening in the background. You driving the truck wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be able to do it. Like you have to get out of the truck. I mean, it's too much. It is not as simple as everybody thinks. Now you're going to have small customers that 100% you can walk in and they're shipping a couple and that a different load. And that's where you should be starting. But when these guys, and I think that, so when you're looking at, you want to know how much I make, I'll tell you right now, last year I was 18%. I made 18% for me. That's the number, 18 point or something percent. I don't know about this year yet, but last year when I calculated it up. But I think the issue is that sometimes it's like you have no idea how much work I'm actually putting in and the amount of time I'm putting in to move some of the freight to get the customer and stuff. But for me, it's like, if you want to know how much I make, try doing my job. Try doing my job. I've done your job. I've driven the truck. I've backed in the doors. I backed in Domino's Sugar in Baltimore between like this much room. I've done it. My wife used to say, why is everybody staring at us? I'm like, everybody's staring at us because I know how to back up a CR England truck and I'm not hitting anything because I used to drive local. I used to drive US Foods in Buffalo, New York. So I used to back up.
Oh man, you're doing food service.
Yeah, I done US Foods for 4 years in New York because my dad actually worked there. So I could back up better and I could drive forward sometimes. But I've done your job. And it's like, to me, it's like sometimes it's like, you want to know how much money I make? Do my job. Try doing my job for a day. I've even challenged them. I'll put you on StreamYard and you can sit here and listen to all. I've had guys in my Discord that have listened to me handle a problem where I had a shipment go from North Carolina to Salt Lake City and the truck blew the motor. And I had to I had to get the load, get his trailer, make sure it was permission to take his trailer, transfer that, help get, that it was on the side of the road. I had another driver heading that way. I asked him to drop his trailer at a truck stop, at least get the trailer off the side of the road because it wasn't safe. So at least we could get that. I had to do that and then schedule that truck and then move all this stuff. It's like, this is the stuff drivers don't
see it. They don't see it.
They don't. And the other issue is because I've heard some guys say, well, they should make 3 or 4%. That's what they should make. And I think to myself, if you're saying that a broker should make 3 or 4% on their business, you don't understand business. You don't understand that business is, I think a lot of people, maybe you see this too, and I know I'm rambling, I get off track, but this is what I get when you talk to broker.
Nah, you good, man. You good.
But I think one of the things is that, and you probably see this, is truck drivers will sometimes, not all the times, as I've seen you do videos that they don't know their expenses. So, but let's pretend they did, okay? They look at their expenses and they say, okay, this is what it's going to cost me for my home. This is what it's going to cost me for my truck. And then I got to pay myself. And I learned this from Mark the Mentor and on YouTube. And if somebody should check him out. People don't think that there's somebody else that has to be paid. That's the business.
That's the business.
That's business to get a paycheck. Because that business, you're robbing from your business if you're not. So when people say, well, brokers should only make 3%, how can I pay my bills and do everything I'm doing plus pay my business? That to me tells me you're a dum-dum. Because you are not, I guarantee you, if I go back to that person and I say, show me your numbers, show me everything you're paying. And I say, okay, how much is the business? How much is the business being paid? Like, you have to look at it like a paycheck.
Yeah.
You can't touch it. It's a company. It's an employee, whatever you want to look at it as. They need $1,000 a week. I'm picking numbers. That might be a lot. They need $1,000. I need $1,000 and they need $500 a week. That's got to go in there. I can't touch that. And I don't think people, how much you doing for retirement? What's your retirement plan? This is what they don't think about, but they want to think about my money, but they don't even want to, because you would benefit more with me if you came and said, stop worrying about what I made and if you came to me or came to you and said, how can I make more money? What should I be doing with how should I be proceeding with this? But they want to know, what are you making? Rather than, how did you do that? How did you get where you are? Because I have had people ask me about broker transparency hundreds of times. I think I can count on my hand, maybe 5 times somebody has legitimately asked me and said, how did you do that? And can you show me how you got to where you are and built your business and got growth? Can you show me? That's the question I don't hear. Do you ever hear that?
No, I don't. I will say that I'll say this. I don't hear it from that perspective, especially in the broker transparency conversation, because it becomes more personal and it becomes an attack because it's one of those things where people just don't understand. And I'm not a pocket watching type person. And the difference between you though, Sage, is that you come from a different place though. You talking broker transparency coming from somebody that was out there that actually was doing it and says, yeah, no. That ain't what we want. That ain't what you really want. What you really need to do is you need to focus on this. And this is where it's going to help you get where you're at, because at the end of the day, you're paying a broker to provide you a service that you would not had or you would not been able to do. Just like when you go do an Uber. Like, you wouldn't have found that Uber if you didn't open up the app and find the Uber on the app and be able to go from here to here. You wouldn't have had that opportunity. So when you look at that, what would you say is the biggest lie brokers tell carriers that folks swallow every single day?
Oh man, the broker. Everybody's gonna say
they the bad brokers. I love that.
They have it right now. I want people to understand a couple things with that one. Okay, I want people to understand. You are not dealing. Well, you might not be. Like, if you call me, I'm the broker. Okay, but when you're calling it one of the other brokerages, doesn't matter. Pick the letters, all you want. Don't care. You're talking to a customer service agent on the phone.
Not the broker.
You're not talking to the broker, right? You're talking to, that might be all the money they have in it at the time because their software says this is all you get. Okay, they have software. They're working those numbers. Now he might be able to say, "Hang on, let me talk to my manager. Let me talk to the salesperson. Let me call and see if I can up this." That's possible. All right. So I can't say that. You can't say that he's lying per se, because it might be all the money he has in it or has access to be able to give you at the time. Drivers think like I said, I'm a little different. I'm a little old school because I do OD and superloads. But a lot of these brokerages, they're working off of AI analytics software that basically says at 3:00 on this day, this is how much you can pay. This is your max. Now at 4:00, this might go up $100, but that is how it's actually being done behind the scenes with a lot of the van trucks, a lot of these type of loads. So I know that's the one that they think is one of the biggest lies, which it could be. They could be saying, yeah, but a lot of times that might be all that individual has in it, unless he's authorized either by somebody else or by the software that allows him to bump it up to the next level. And that's why I said you're not negotiating against the broker. You're negotiating against supply and demand and software. To be on the most part, for like van and freight like that. And I think drivers don't realize how much analytics, software, and computing, and that person's looking at this screen that's actually what's going on.
They probably don't care, from that standpoint too, man, because at the end of the day, it's a point A to point B thing. And that from being a driver, at that point, it's like, hey, I need to get a load. I need to go where I need to go, and I need to be compensated further. My thing is that I don't ever think there's when is enough, when is ever good enough, when is enough in a rate, you know what I'm saying? And then when you hear, hey,
should be, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You should be getting all you can get, to be honest. Whatever skills, whatever value
you should bring, know your value. You need to know your value.
And you should be working towards that value. And it's like when I take calls, and if your first thing that's coming out of your mouth is, hey, I seen your load, how much does it pay? I got you. I got you.
Talk to me. Talk to him about it. Talk to him about that.
You're done. Because at that point, if you're not asking, okay, how, anything else, but hey, what's his pay? It's basically like, well, now I'm just going to focus on the rate that's on the board because you already know what it pays and I know what it pays. And at that point, you're probably going to bump me $200. I'm going to win with a $200 bump because if you've already made the phone call, you've already committed, you're already close, you're already interested, and the first thing that's out of your mouth is money. It's $1,000. Well, can you come up on it? Well, I don't know. I got a lot of trucks in this area and the phone's ringing off the hook for this one. And I just got 3 more emails. So how far away are you? Well, I'm about 50 miles away. I'm like, all right, well, do you think you can get there in an hour? Because if you can't get there an hour, I got another guy that's closer. So you got to let me know. Like ASAP, bro, because I'm about to email this other guy. We got to move this thing off this dock so that they can move their product. I've been working with this customer a long time, and I know this rate's locked in, and we move it all the time. So where do you need to be? Oh, can you come up to 11? Can you come up to 11? Bro, I'm telling you right now, can you do 1050? If you can do 1050, we can lock this thing in. Let's see what you can do. Prove to me that you can do everything, get on time and do some stuff, and then maybe we can talk later. But 1050 makes this one go. I'm telling you right now, I just got another boom gone. Because your focal point was that money.
Just on the money. So, it was just on the money.
You're not asking me. So now it's like, if you call in and you're like, hey, what is this? How much does it weigh? What's the delivery time? What's the pick time? Now it's like, he's shopping this one. So I don't know. But if you go right to the money, I know you're done. You want the load for 1,000. You want it for 1,000. So it's that type of mindset that it's like, you called me, you knew what it paid, and then you asked me what it paid again. Now, are there some times where they're just like, no, I can't do it? There are, but 9 times out of 10, you're taking the load. I might have to come up to that 12. Now, I might have went, if you knew something, I might have went to 15. You know what I mean? That's an extra $300 you left. Just because when you came in, I knew your direction. You were all about the money. You want to know a little secret? People do things in life for 3 reasons. Money, fame, power. If you can figure out what I'm fame. But everybody down deep does things for 3 reasons. Money, fame, power. If you figure out what that other person is, and first figure out what yourself is, just to make sure but if you figure out what that other person is, you got them. Because if I know your money, I know that, okay, I got to constantly be the cheapest here. I got to focus on the money. I got to show them how much we're saving. If you're fame, I got to say, look, man, we can get this covered. You're going to look good in front of that boss. We'll get that thing right off the dock for you, man. And I'm going to make sure that you look good to upper management. Guaranteed, bro. I got you. My job is to protect you. Boom, gotcha. If you're control, I'll be like, hey, I got 2 options here. I got, and now you got to sway the option you want, but I want to make sure that you're good with these options. I'll let you decide which way we want to go with it. Do you want to ship it tomorrow or do you want to get it out Friday for a little bit of a cheaper rate? It's up to you. You just let me know which way you want to go. Boom, gotcha. That's something that takes time to learn. But if you're interacting with that traffic manager, and I know what that traffic manager is, money, fame, power, I'm going to be able to sway the sale the way I needed to sway it to get him to pick me over JB Hunt. And that's when you came in and you said, what are you going to do for JB Hunt? If I'm walking in and they're using JB Hunt, I'm like, hey, my name's Sage. I just wonder if you have any type of, anything logistical issues that are going on. I've been in my industry for 5 years. I've been here all the way from truck driver to freight broker. I've been doing this. I've been doing and going to the spiel. I'd like to look at some of your operation, understand what you do. What, do you guys work on a performance clause? I start to learn about their business and start to understand what they're doing. Okay. When do you have quotas and things like that? That's when I basically sway in there that it's like, I'll drop things like, hey, I'm looking to work with you, not for you. I'm looking to build, I understand the difference between a contract rate and a spot market rate, and my drivers do also. So I'm already selling the fact that I know the industry and I've trained my drivers to understand more of the industry. So when they give me the price, they're going to come back there. And I guarantee a truck because I built, personally over 25 years, I built personal connections with drivers that I've learned from them and they learn from me, and we know where we need to be to provide you the best opportunity so that you can win the bids against your customers. And I want to be a part of that winning.
I think that's
hire me.
I think that's that's important.
Right.
You're selling yourself.
Correct.
You're selling a relationship.
100%. So when I hear a driver come in and it's about the money, you lose because that's at that point your money. And you've already committed that you already know you want this load. You've already called in this load. It's going someplace you want to go. The rate is decent enough to call. Because you ain't calling me saying, what the hell's wrong with you? This light's so low. I can't believe. But you're calling in and you're like, how much is it paying? Well, how much.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's for what it was, what I wanted to pay. And that's usually the drivers that, to be honest, leave money on the table and they don't potentially go in a little smarter. I need drivers to be smarter when they come in and talk to me. I mean, not just because I do over-dimensional, is because you're going to my customer and a driver will lose me, my customer. A
100%.
driver will lose 100% time. So if my drivers that I've worked with for long periods of time, or I consider the load board the minimum wage job opportunity board.
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that.
And it's a help wanted sign in front of a window. You got to prove your management skills. You might come in there and be great management skills, but right now you're coming in. I know nothing about you. You know nothing about me. You don't even know if you want to work for me. I might be a crap broker, bad directions and lie, not answer the phone. You don't have no idea. I have no idea if you're going to be that guy. And it's after that, working together and submitting things and sending photos. And I've had drivers show up back in the door, take a picture of their truck back in the door with the picture on the thing, go inside, fantastic driver, great communicator, come back out, took a picture, even with the van, closing the doors, took a picture of the seal on the back of the truck, took a picture of the bill of lading saying, can I leave? Does this look good to you? Is there anything we need to? So that before he left, I could see the bill of lading. I'm like, nope, it's good. Get there, take a picture of the job site. Because it's like click, because I get my text message and take a picture of the bills that it's signed, sign, print, making sure I know exactly the name of the person on there, not just a scribbly line. Those guys put in the Rolodex. They're getting direct phone calls back because they understand the value and they understand. I think it's a lot about knowing my problems. You're not looking to sell. You got to solve my problem. What's my problem right now? If I ask a truck driver right now, what is a freight broker's problem? Most truck drivers be like, think about it. Think about what problem is. What are you dealing with? What do you think they're probably dealing with fraud, stolen freight, drivers that, everything that with the immigration type things. Can you solve that problem? Going in, can you solve my problem? If you can solve my problem, you get paid. I get paid to solve problems. That's what I do.
As a business owner should. as any business owner should. Even if you're a carrier, you're paid to solve problems. Okay, you know what? Let's put both our solutions together. But I think too, one of the most important things to realize is that a lot of carriers and drivers alike, everything is so transactional, man. Like it's all about the transaction. It's about what I'm going to get paid today, and then screw whatever happens down the road. About how you pitch into that phone call really, really makes the difference, because at the end of the day, it's a human element that's also involved. You're a human on the other end of the phone. Like, don't just call me and say, oh, yeah, I'm calling on load 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so you're supposed to, how much you want for it. Yeah, that's just not the way it's supposed to work.
Today's episode is brought to you by Trucking Hub. Now listen, if you're still bouncing between 5 different logins just to run your trucking business, you're already behind. Trucking Hub is built by a carrier for carriers, and it puts everything under one roof, whether it be dispatch, safety, maintenance, and even accountant and a driver app. Their dispatch runs on PC Miler and Copilot navigation, so the miles are right the first time. Now the ELD is FMCSA certified, tamper-proof, and trusted since 2017. And if you want to keep it all in one lane, you can even roll in company phones, texting, video, and fax backed by nationwide LTE. Bottom line, this is the kind of system that's you spend less time hopping and more time hauling. Plans start at just $29 per truck, no contracts, no hidden fees, and you can try it for free for 30 days. Check them out at their website and get your time back.
So from your experience, one of the questions that I have for you as you was kind of digging through that, from your experience, how many times do you get on a call with a carrier and you're like, yeah, negotiation is one of the things that they're just not good at?
Oh, a lot.
Out of 10.
And I think
out of 10. Number out of 10.
I'm going to say 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 carriers call and they got to brush up on negotiation. That ain't your thing.
They got to, and when I talk about negotiation, it's building a fast relationship with me.
Quick.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
That, like when I go, and 8 out of 10 can't do it. 8 out of 10, like I said, we're done. And it's because it's like my first phase of a conversation is going to be like, all right, you call them like, this is Sage, hey, how's it going? What can I do for you? And it's just like that load going from here to here, fail. Like you didn't even acknowledge the fact that I said, hey, how's it going?
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's just not human.
Right. And it's just like, hey, how's it going? What can I do for you? Hey, it should be something like, hey, how's it going, Sage? My name's Mike.
Yeah.
Right. It's not. And I'm like, got it. And it's we do phone calls all day long. Like we get phone calls from shippers and brokers. Shippers and carriers. And so it's that I can tell after 25 years of doing this that you've lost that first introduction, right? You've lost. Like I just asked you, hey, my name, and hey, how's it going? Hey, this is Sage. Hey, how's it going? What can I do for you? And it's like you don't even introduce yourself. You don't even say, hey, I'm Mike from John Smith Trucking LLC out of blah, 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 whatever. Now you've established who you are to me. I know who I'm talking. Am I talking to owner to owner? You want to establish yourself as professional to professional. But if you can't even acknowledge the fact that I've introduced myself and you don't even introduce yourself, you've lost to me. Let's just fine. Let's even see if you're worth it from here.
Yeah.
But it's that I don't think people understand that first impression thing anymore. Maybe we as a society don't. But I don't think people, I think you do, but I don't think a lot, you know what I mean? But I think new people coming in, even if the broker's a jerk, you still got to present, you got to go in every time. Same way.
You're the professional. You're the CEO of your company. Yeah.
Yeah. The broker's like, what do you want? Hey, my name's Mike. And
there you go.
Still got to, you know what I mean? And that's the first thing of negotiations that, like I said, 8 out of 10 don't do that. So that's a fail to me. And then going down the road, if they've already called in the load and they're talking money, I'm going to probably get them for an extra $200 and they're done. Maybe $100, bump them up every time, because you've already established yourself as unprofessional. So at that point, drivers, you want to know why you're being, talked down to is because you're acting like that. I'm not going to, if you come in professional and you come in that way, you should get that same again, we're going to have bad brokers, but on a realistic broker, you should get that back. Right. I mean, even when like I said, if I'm doing insurance, if I'm selling insurance, it's that introduction. I try to keep, everything. I try to be professional, upbeat, making sure that I understand, because one of the things that we're not going to get I hear this all the time that my job's going to be replaced with AI, right? And I think the issue is that if a shipper's going to pay me $100,000, they want someone to blame when it goes wrong. So the issue is that if my job went away to AI and they pay $100,000 and it goes wrong, who are they blaming? Because their boss is blaming somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And I think when I'm as insurance, when I sell insurance, I have to make sure I do it completely right, exactly honest, make sure they understand and do it right, because they're giving me, $20,000, $30,000, let's say, for a couple trucks or whatever. And if something goes wrong, they're paying me to be able to, let's say insurance wise, they're paying to be able to, it's my fault if I screwed it up.
Yeah.
They need someone to go to and put that liability on. And some of the payment that I'm paid is just so I can be the fall guy sometimes. Even if I'm not, sometimes I got to eat it and say, yep, I understand, to take that blame. And I think that's one of the things other drivers don't understand also. So it's sometimes, like I said, when we go to negotiation, I know I get off sidetrack. Squirrel.
No, you're good.
Basically, I think drivers need to realize the importance of that. Every time you talk to a broker, I want you to go in with the mentality that could be a direct shipper.
No matter what.
Because
no matter what.
Start training myself now to be able to do that. And brokers, you can hang up on a broker, call back and get another guy. Yeah. You will not hang up on a shipper, call back and get another. There's only one transportation manager. So if you hang up, call back, try again, same guy. So you might as well work practicing on brokers.
And that's great practice.
It is.
That's great practice.
You're going to get customers. You're going to get jerk customers. You're going to get jerk brokers. You still got to maintain, push through it, and figure out, could I have still won that guy? Could I have still said something or took it in a direction that, even though he was a jerk, maybe something was happening, maybe his wife was leaving him, but whatever. But could I have still won that? Mm-hmm. What could I have done a little different to possibly get 15 more seconds? Get 15 more seconds. I'm at a 15-second interval with shippers. I get 15 seconds. If I can say something to win 15, I can win 15 more and 15 more and 15 more. And that mentality is not being transferred when drivers try to negotiate with brokers, that you've got to win me. You're selling your services to me. Just like you said. How many other trucks are next to you in the truck stop? Right? We started the show with that. And that's something I think is being lost, basically.
I think that it's not just in trucking. I think just society as a whole. We've lost the ability to even communicate with people. We've been able to hide behind these phones and social media platforms and say whatever we want about people and not get punched in the face because it's easy. Like we can hide and do that. And I think that we've lost on the same spectrum. We've lost the ability to even have a conversation. I look at, so my kids, I have to tell them this all the time, man. Like, put your phone down. Put your phone down. Put your phones down. Like, they literally can sit down and be at a table with all kinds of people around you. You got your phone in your hand, head down. Like, you can't even interact. And I can't even blame, the carrier in this day for that, because that's just not just them. It's just society as a whole. It's too easy to pick up a phone, log into my load board, look at a book it now, book it, call a number, blah, 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 blah. I don't have to deal with that. And I think COVID did a really big number on people because it trained us to be socially distant in physicality, but it also trained us to be socially distant from people. Like, you made a great point in the beginning. You're like, man, if I pick up the phone and I call somebody, good morning. Before you even ask me to do anything, you better say good morning back. I'm not going to sit there and waste. That's just what we do. You know what I mean? We gonna recognize each other first respectfully, and then we can kind of move on. But if you got on the phone with a broker and that's the opportunity. Hey man, hey, say what's going on, man. You have a good weekend. I know you probably short on time, and I get that. You probably get 1,000 phone calls a day. But at the end of the day, I don't know what you've been through that day. You're a human. I don't know what you're going through. And I'm like, man, did you have a good weekend? You're like, you know what? It wasn't even that bad. So you know what I just did? I just lowered the temperature. I just cooled it down a little bit. It was hot when I picked that phone up. I cooled it down a little bit. So you know what now? You know what, Adam? I tell you what I'm going to do. This time I'll do that. And I think that we lost that. But then we lost that as people, though, because we don't even do that as people anymore. I think that's one of the bigger issues.
That's good. That's good. When I could go off on a whole different non-trucking tangent with this. I'm just thinking to myself, but we'll try to stay to trucking. You're right. I think that in society, even as people, just trying to interact with other people, even a male interacting with a female interact male. I think we've lost the ability to basically win 15 more seconds with them, right?
Yeah,
like
I agree.
I'm 50, right? I mean, when I met my wife, I wanted to win, for 20 years, but I'm still with her 24/7. But I wanted 15 seconds. I wanted to. What can I do to get that? You know what I mean? And I think you're right. It just dawned on me. That's a great point. I think we've lost the ability to win 15 seconds with each other at a time for people that we wanted to meet. Now, if in 15 seconds, you might be like, no, I don't want to deal with this dude. But to be able to find out, you need that 5, 10, 15 seconds. And you're right. I think as society, in every aspect, it dawned on me is that even just winning 15 seconds to be able to have conversations, we've lost it.
And the thing is too, and you think about this, man, it's even as simple as, I'm gonna tell you something. I hate self-checkouts. I hate them. And the reason why I hate them, because I'm doing work that I'm not getting paid to do. I'm not getting discounted for the fact that I got it. So that's one part. But the other part, I just hate interacting with the person that's standing there that's checking out. I like to say hello. I'm a friendly guy, man. I'm from the South. I'm friendly. I like people, and I like being able to interact with people. Like, that interaction is gone. Now you just got somebody that's standing there at the top of the watchtower, as I call it, the watchtower, standing at the top of the watchtower, making sure you're scanning everything. But like, there's no interaction there. So we're becoming more and more conditioned to just not have to deal with people. And then what bothers me is that you have small carriers who are small business owners that think that they can take that skill and transfer it into business and be successful. And that's the wrong approach to take.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's 100%. And I think that you're right. I think look, man, there's times that you have to be 10% better than the guy next to you, right? There's times you have to be that. That 10% might be that 15-second communication. And you're right. And I think it's that, and maybe the load boards did this. Maybe the fact that the load boards and the emails and the click and goes made it where, hey, I don't have to. That's just, there's the freight, off I go. And then people don't realize that, hey, you got your MC number. You know what the power of that MC number is? The power of that MC number is you can now go to drive in an industrial park in your area, walk inside with a business card and have them say, oh, I'm sorry, what are you here to pick up? Nothing. But if you needed something, here's my truck, here's my card. I live an hour away. So I just wanted to introduce myself and say, hey, I might not be your first choice. I might not be your second choice. But wouldn't it be great to have a plan C if you needed one that's an hour, that's 15 minutes away, that has a truck? Here's my truck. Here's me. I'm the guy. Here's my card. Let me know if you ever need a plan C, And then next building, because they're going to look at you and be like, oh, what are you here to pick up? Well, nothing. Well, you're backed in the door. I know. I'm here to drop my business card off. That's my truck. If you need a plan C, and do that spiel. It's little things like that and thinking outside the box, but you got to be able to communicate. And I think you're right. The business owners think that they can just grab the freight, and the freight comes to them magically off of the magical freight tree, but don't pay the guy that planted the freight tree, because we can't pay him. But they still have the power to plant their own trees. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But then don't bitch to the guy, excuse my language, but don't complain to the guy has planted that tree, that has taken that skill, mastered it enough to bring you money.
And don't count his pocket either. Don't count his pocket, and don't say he shouldn't be paid no more than 3 or 4%, because you don't know the things that he had to do in order to get that business or to do that. But you know what else that brings it even more home to me is that within this industry, I have never seen the amount of entitlement that people think that they should have within anything that I have in my life.
Bro, that's another thing too, is that the entitlement aspect of this industry has mind boggled me. Because I remember, like I said, for me, it wasn't there. There was no entitlement. Like I said, there's no load board for me. And I made a conscious decision to let the truck go and then be able to do what I'm doing now was a risk. I could have starved to death.
Yeah.
But they say, okay. And that's another thing that upsets me. It's like, because I'll say, okay, what if I went to you as a carrier and I said, okay, I'll pay you $3,000 to drive this load from Houston to Syracuse. Well, how much are you getting? $5,000. Well, I want more. No. What are you going to do about it?
Right. Exactly.
Think you're going to go to your customer with one truck with no skill, and I've been there for 15 years, and you're just going to kick me out over two? My customer's going to be like, I don't know what to tell you. He gets a truck. He gets us 50 trucks a month. You're one. What are you going to do about it? Now you know. And that's when I say, well, I can negotiate better the next time. That's not how it works. This might be a hot load. This might be a load of steel that they need because they just won a project. And 10 of these loads are hot loads and they're paying $4 a mile. But after that, and their lot's full of steel, that freight price goes down. Yeah. Now they only want to pay $50 a mile until they need $4 a mile to get it until they're out of steel. And it's like, so if you think you're going to negotiate this rate here, you have no idea what type of load this was. Is it a contracted load? Is it a hot load? Yeah. Like, and I think that's another aspect that it's like, even if I say that to them, it's like, you're negotiating against supply and demand. Like I want $4,000. No, but that other truck next to you, because there's one load and 50 trucks, that other guy will take it for $3. So your answer is no. What are you going to do about it? Now you know how much you're making. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? I mean, I said this, like I said, I've been with the same customer for 18 years. 18 years I've been with the same customer. That customer is a monstrous company that other brokers, they're no longer taking any type of logistics people. You can't get in if you want it. So it's like, and that's why when I actually see it, I want drivers to actually think about this. If I say, no, you can't have more money, what are you going to do about it? Because the guy next to you will take the load. What are you going to do about it? And that's the blunt story of broker transparency. You can't bring the value I can bring. You have one truck. I have access to 25 years of knowledge and access to endless amounts of trucks in the area if I need. So I bring more value than you.
Right. And I think that that's an important part. But I think more that's equally as important is that what you got going on with your business doesn't have anything to do with what I got going on with mine. So that's, to me, and that's because I'm not a pocket watching type guy. I don't care what you make. Like, because I'm going to tell you something, Sage. If you go to a Lowe's or you go to a Walmart and you go down the light bulb aisle and you realize how much money they make off of light bulbs and screws and things like that, you probably wouldn't buy light bulbs anymore, right?
We'd be living in the dark.
We would be living in the dark because you know what? You'd be like, you know what? Screw you. I'm not paying $20 for this light bulb when that light bulb only costs you 73 cents to manufacture. But no, you're not going to do that. You know what you're going to do? You're going to go take your happy ass out to the self-checkout line, check out, and take that $20 light bulb and then go be about your business. But then
pay for the
and pay for the bag. And then they're going to tell you that you got to pay for the bag. But you know what the thing about it is that does that make you feel any better if you know how much how much you're getting worked over? No, it's not making any determination. You have a need. You need light. Buy it to go get light. And I say this, and I'm going to get off of that soapbox.
No, don't bring it.
Because I'm like this when it comes down to broker transparency. I've been on, my stance on that is long been the same. I don't think it's one of those things that we need to put attention to. I believe that when it was put into CFR back in the 1980s, when the original Motor Carrier Act was signed, they had no idea. Jimmy Carter and them, they had no idea that freight was going to be the way it was. It was almost in horse and buggy times back then. Like, right, we had everything was it was small. It wasn't, we had you had a very small collection of trucking companies that dominated the industry. When you deregulated, he had no idea that it was going to pump 12, 13,000 new motor carrier authorities a month into the marketplace. They had no idea that there was going to be all this digital load board matching and things like that, these dating apps that was going to make freight work together. So it's not the same transaction as it was to be monitored. So when I even look at it, even from the stance of, if I just go back to the origin of it, it's not the same transaction. So I guess that's why I have issues with it, because it's not the same transaction. If you want to amend the rule, amend the rule and amend the guidelines. But for where it stands right now, it just doesn't. We're not in those times. So that's where I stood for it. Here's one question. Here's another question for you as we go through. And I know you had the opportunity to be a broker agent as well. And you know that with certain companies, broker agents, there's some murky areas in there. When you was a broker agent yourself, were there any shady practices out there that made you say, you know what, that's wrong how they do that?
Yeah. So one of the things I have an issue with is, and I won't do it, is I have had, I won't give you 2 rate cons. If you're a carrier and you ask me for 2 rate cons, that's not happening for 2 different prices. That's not happening for me.
So we
I know
throwing
a
this
lot.
test, or is just going to be 1 rate con and that's it?
Yeah, what for me is like, I will have a carrier, and they're most like what they're doing is they're hiding they probably pay a percentage to their carriers, and they want a different percentage to their carrier, so they want to do 2 different, one for them and then a lower one for their carrier, right? So if they call me up now, if they call me up and they're like, hey, we need you to do a rate con for $4,000, and then can you also issue one for $3,000? No. I'm not doing it. Like I know a lot of other brokers, whatever it takes to make the deal or whatever, that's fine, whatever. I won't do it. Like, and it for me, it's like, I know what you're trying to do or what you're doing in the system. I'm not going to be a part of that, because if that driver finds out and gets pissed, it's my load on the back of that trailer.
Yeah.
My load on the back of the trailer. Ain't happening. You want to do it? You do it with somebody else. So I have it. That's something I will not do. And I know a lot of other freight brokers would be like, yeah, that's fine. And then they would send it. But that was something that, nope, I don't care what I issue you for 4,000. If we're doing it for 4,000, that's the agreement. That's the rate con you're getting from me. You're not getting a cheaper one. I don't care what, it's just not happening. But I also know that from the aspect, I'm not dumb. I used to be a carrier. So
you know the games.
I know the game, right? So that was one that I would not do. And it's also one that for me, I'm not gonna, I can't lie to a driver when I know that like if to put my load or my customer at risk, right? But a lot of other brokers will be like, oh yeah, you don't need beer permits for that. Oh yeah, you don't need, you can get there. Don't worry about it. Like, I have had drivers call me and just say, I'm like, hey man, you're supposed to be at pickup, at 10 o'clock. What happened? Oh, I'm sick, man. I overslept. I got to pull you off the load. I can't have somebody sick doing the load. I gotta find enough. You just admitted to me that you were too sick to make the pickup. I cannot confirm you're a safe driver at this point. It doesn't matter. I've got to take you off the load. You just, so other agents would probably leave them on, or I've had drivers, like, even when I was a carrier, like, I am not going to tell you can drive when you can't drive out of hours either. And I know that they're doing that. It's like, oh, it's just this much, it's just this, it's just this. I'm like, he's out of hours. He's out of hours.
Yeah.
He's out of hours. He's out of hours. It's the way the clock works. We got to do better on our end. But the biggest one for me that it was always kind of shady is when a broker would issue 2 rate cons, 1 for 4, 1 for 3, just example of pricing. And I know they're giving one to a driver that's probably leased on. And it's like, what are you doing? One, you're not in my damn agency, you're not, because you're risking because that driver finds out, I've been a driver. I know what that driver is going to do. He's going to drop the driver, and he's going to start bobtailing home, and we might not even know where the trailer is. You want that risk? But that's one that's kind of shady, to be honest. It's always been pretty shady.
So when you're looking at the insurance side, and I know that that's something that you've also kind of touched into when it comes down to it, and what should a small fleet, I guess my question would be, what should a small fleet or owner-operator look out for when an agent is selling them the best deal or the best price?
So this is a big issue we're dealing with now with things. So as a driver, you really have to do a couple things. When you're looking at an insurance agent, you are looking to hire me. You want to make sure that I'm knowledgeable about the industry that I'm in. I know what I'm doing for trucking, right? Because you're not just buying an insurance policy. You're literally hiring me to be your insurance agent. Like, you are welcome to your first job if you want to be honest, welcome to your first hiring, to be honest. If you're like, you're now hiring me. So you should be interviewing me, right? As normal people jobs do, they interview me. So basically, at that point, you have to make sure that they know what they're doing, but also that they're putting in the numbers, not just to get your business, to get you in the door, because insurance agents that are shady will lower either the amount of miles it might be, hey, I want unlimited miles. And then they lower you to 200, right? To at least get you in there, because the last thing you're going to want to do is cancel. Because if you cancel a policy early, it looks bad to other insurance companies that you just canceled. So now you're stuck, and then the price goes up, right? So one of the things they'll do is for insurance, instead of doing like 500-mile radius or more, they'll stick you at 500-mile radius or less, or 200-mile radius. And then that brings the price down. And you don't notice that. And then once that you pay the down payment, next thing you know, the insurance rate goes up because they raise the rate up on you, saying, oh, you're doing more than 500 miles, or you're this, and now that price goes up. That's a big one. Making sure that what drivers also want to know is if you're using any type of virtual address, or if you're driving a truck that's not on the policy, an agent might be like, oh, you don't worry about it. You can add that truck later, or you have 30 days to add it. If an insurance company like Progressive or Geico catch you with a virtual address, or catch you with a truck that's not on the policy, then basically they're going to cancel you for a year, and they're going to ban you for a year. You know what I mean? So that's something that an insurance agent might be like, well, you got banned. I can keep selling insurance, but now you're banned from Progressive, or you're banned from Geico, or you're banned from agencies. So it's that type of stuff that your insurance agent should be looking at the FMCSA filing, making sure that looks good, making sure you're not. I mean, I've seen carriers come in and they're a carrier and a freight forwarder, and I'm like, you're a carrier and a freight forwarder? They're like, yeah, I carry the freight forward. Nope. That's not the same thing. So I've had to basically say, okay, we got to update your FMCSA. They should be doing that for you. They should be literally double checking everything they can possibly look at to get you the best quote. And if they're not doing that, if they're not checking your FMCSA, if they're not like, hey, you've got two trucks, 2 drivers. Yeah. Where'd you see that? Well, I'm on your FMCSA, and anything that they are not doing puts you at risk when it goes awry.
Yeah.
So a thing is, don't let them get you in the door for a cheap price just to raise your rate later that you can't cancel. Because if you cancel before 6 months, it's a cancellation that looks bad to every insurance company after that. And now every insurance company sees you cancel early.
And that's really important.
Yeah.
That's really important. And I think that too, as we kind of close down, I think that these are all like really important when you think about like things that you should know, but you might not know because there's not really a lot of information out there when it comes down to it. So if you were an owner operator and knowing what you know now, 25 years in, plus years in, then on top of that, now you got experience in a lot of different seats. You've worn a lot of different hats. Going back in hindsight 2020, going all the way back, starting all over again, if you were mentoring a new owner operator starting today, what's the first 3 things you would say to them that they need to watch out for?
The first thing I'd tell them to watch out for is super truckers on the internet.
Ooh, man, come on now.
And, those guys.
And not literally super trucker, because super truckers are cool, dude. But there's
ones that say get rich quick. That type of $5,000 in a day I've made. And you could make it too. That'd be the first thing, is like, this is a long game. This is a long game. You're building a business in a trucking business is a volume-based long play game, right? It's not that jump in, jump out type, stock market. It's the long game. You're looking for, put it, leave it in, right? So that'd be the first thing. The second thing is going to be like, take some type, you're now not just a truck driver, you're a business owner. So my first question would be, what I would say is, tell me, I would ask them, what is not piercing the corporate veil mean? Like, what business knowledge do you have? And if you don't, find some. Business 101, economics 101. Start to realize that this is a never-ending story. You have got to continue to learn business. You've got to know the trucking and the business. It is a progression. And that's so that learning business on top of that. And then the third would be, you better have good communication, sales skills, charismatic, being able to go in there, win a crowd, win a person, even if it's 15 seconds at a time, right? I mean, I met the love of my life, but I had to score 15 seconds at the time. I needed 15 seconds to win that across the room because there's all these other guys, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You want to look at that, says, I have got to win this because this could, it just takes one customer sometimes. If you do it right, it could just take, I have one customer, and I've had one customer for probably the last 12 years. And I've done it, but it's that type of thing that people just don't. That's what they've got to focus on, and so it's Stay away from the YouTube trucker gurus, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 in a day. Basically, learn business now. Welcome to the world of business. You're not just a trucker. Get windshield, top-down view. Top-down view. Know everything that's going on around here. And you have got to learn how to win 15 seconds at a time with people. You've got to practice that skill. Even if it's just saying, like you said, hi to the cashier and putting that cashier 15 seconds. What did I learn new from that 15? Like every time you go to a cashier, or somebody, what did I learn new about that person? You know, is it what's their favorite color? Hey, you know, I like your shirt. It's a good color. Yeah, it's my favorite color. I just learned that's their favorite color. Boom.
Yeah.
Right. And it's learning 15 seconds at a time of people that you can remember and then focus on when you need to go back and win that customer. That's a skill that has to be learned, has to be practiced forever.
Let me tell you something, Sage. I've seen your discourse. I've seen your shows. We can go on for hours. We literally can go on for hours, and it wouldn't even feel like that, man. But you know, it was really, really good to actually get a chance to sit down and talk to you, man. You know, I really, really appreciate that. I think that too, that ultimately, and this earpiece, but ultimately, I think that if we as a society are able to just kind of sit back and have conversations with people that you may not know, or you may not know about, and you may see what they're doing, or anything that could be helpful, instead of just trying to beat each other up so much in terms of, you know, I think that gets us a lot further. And that's the reason why I really can appreciate our conversation here. If you've heard anything on this particular episode, for me, the extra 15 seconds is it. Like if you didn't hear anything else on this episode, is winning another 15 seconds. Because when you do that, when you win a little bit more time, when you a little bit more space, then now you made yourself that much more desirable to the other person. And when you make yourself more desirable as a business owner, the way that you win businesses become more desirable than the next person. It's the same thing as dating. You want to become more and more desirable. So if you can earn yourself 15 more seconds and 15 more seconds and 15 more seconds, and then you leave from a circumstance of business acumen and start developing in areas that you're not good at, you'll get further along, much further along than beating the drum of something that's regulatory that you really don't have control over. So, Sage, thank you so much for bringing the heat today and really just being no filter. And I guarantee you folks are going to hear things that they ignored, denied, and didn't know. So to anybody that's listening, if you're in this business and you haven't had your eyes open yet, go back, listen, again, take notes. That 15 second thing is it. So if this episode shook you up, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe to The Long Haul. Help push more episodes that challenge and not just entertain, because that's what we're about. And if you're not already on it, our newsletter over at www.freightwaves.com/playbook is where we drop bonus thoughts, raw content, and actionable ideas that didn't make the mic. Sage, I got to have you on again, man, because, again, we can talk again. I got to have you on again, man.
Appreciate it, man. You just let me know when. We'll hook up, talk some more. We could talk about all kinds of stuff, man. I mean, we're going to end up talking about life in general.
I'm good with that, man. So check this out. I'm Adam. This is The Long Haul. Stay sharp, stay honest, and don't let the system rob your hustle. Catch you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.